With this video, I decided just to talk my way through flying the pattern. I'm with a new pilot. He's taking lessons with the instructor, and I just kind of threw him in the right seat, flying the pattern. And there's a pretty stiff crosswind. It was about 13, and it was not quite a complete crosswind, but it's runway 27, and the wind was coming from 190. So just about a crosswind, but just enough to stir the air up quite a bit. So I'm bouncing around a little bit, and I'm just kind of describing as far as the bailout points. And he's flown this pattern many times, but I'm just kind of walking him through just the way I fly it. With this particular engine, we only have less than 10 hours on it. It's broken in, but I usually fly right around at the airport. We're still working on some of the gauges and making a few adjustments, but it's flying really well, so there won't be any problem in the future. But even so, for about the first 10 hours, I like just to be flying the pattern. So put him in the right seat and flying around. And this is later in the afternoon, and normally it starts calming down. When we did the pre-flight, it was blowing about 8. When we took off, it started gusting about 13, and there's some what they call mechanical turbulence. And part of it is there's a fog bank that's at the beach, and it's blowing into Camarillo. We'll be there about an hour, and it stirs the air up a little bit. And also down low, it blows through the space between the hangars, and that disturbs the air. And so there I'm just kind of flying down at the runway, and we're just going to circle around a few times. And I normally do touch and goes and back and forth, but again, it was just blowing pretty good. Now, if I was flying in a single-seat plane, I'd be all over the sky. The two-seaters are a little bit more stable because they're more weight, but still bouncing around quite a bit and describing things. And the other pilot is taking it in, and I'm describing that the nice thing about Camarillo is surrounded by farm fields. Now, as you see, there's more and more of the structures, like what's in front of you. We don't fly over those structures because they're metal hoops, but we still have a lot of farmland that has like small roads in there. That's a gunnery range right there, so we don't fly over that. That's at the end of our runway. And I think I'm probably going to loop around one more time. And I'm also describing making right-hand turns, left-hand turns. The whole pattern is left-hand turns. So I always try to get in a couple right-hand turns in there just to practice doing right turns, because if you fly the pattern all the time, all you're doing is making left-hand turns, and right-hand turns can feel a little bit forward. So, okay, here I am making left. I think I'll just fly right over again. Again, I'm describing the importance for the passenger to be looking for planes, looking for helicopters, just seeing what's in the air, because we're at the low man of the totem pole, flying 300 feet. Right now I can probably land in the airport, put it into a slip. In this case I'm just flying over, describing a few things. Now, this next one, I am going to just fly low down at the grass area as soon as I flip around. I'm going to make a right hand or a left hand turn. But as you see, I'm not really moving that plane around. That's all from the wind. The other thing that's interesting is that the GoPro is attached to the tail, and it has the stabilizer on, and the stabilizer locks into the horizon, and then the plane moves around. And without the stabilizer, it would be the opposite, where the plane would be perfectly stationary, and the horizon would be moving around. And that's probably more like what that you actually see when you're flying, but that's the way the stabilizers go. So anyway, I'm flying a little bit over with the pattern, describing as far as the roads in case I have an engine out. I have a road right in front of me, and describing also on this side over here in front of me they have like little trees. Again, that's not a place where you want to be. On the other side of the road there, they have, as far as the hoops again, I believe that they're growing berries in there. And we try to stay with it from those, and it seems like more and more those things are popping up. So left turn, and I'll go ahead and make a right turn here. So again, this is probably about 5:30, almost 6 o'clock. And generally, I'm assuming that as far as that we normally fly earlier in the morning or later in the afternoon, and usually by this time that the winds are stabilizing, calming down. In the middle of the afternoon, when we're out there flying, the fields, it actually causes convection, in that that the green crops will drop you a little bit, and where there's dirt, or in this case as far as brown or dying crops, they heat up, and that the air gets hot and it goes straight up, and it actually as far as raises you up. So as you're going up and down the fields, you can feel that. So in this case, I'm going to fly low down the grass area, steep left turn, put the stick into it, and I'm going to be flying down. But notice how the plane is really bouncing around, and that's through the wind that's going through those hangars. And then I just raise it up, and you see what's going on with some of those flags, and it's blowing pretty good. And at this point I said, okay, I'll try a touch and go or a low pass over the runway. And I'm even thinking at this point, well, I'll probably call this short. Normally I would fly probably 30-45 minutes, and I can get in maybe 7-8 up to 10 touch and goes, and I just do them one after another. But in the winds, it's a little bit slower, and I'll probably do one more low pass, and I'll probably land it, and I'll call it a day. But part of the reason why I was making the video is we have guests at the field, and one of the guests, he was a pilot that was from Peru. He was from the Air Force down there, and he was a very skilled pilot. And he commented to me that when I'm coming in his eyes, I'm flying way too low, and I should be up higher. And I thought about it, and in some ways I think he's probably right. So as far as this way, I'm going to clear the hangar, make that turn, and land it. But about right there, I'm probably adding a little bit of extra throttle, because the crosswind really drops that wing down. I'm guarding that the wing, I'm leaning it so that it's on the left-hand side, slightly down, to hold that wing down. And okay, I'm just going to land it at this point. So what he recommended, and this is the first time that he was at the field, in some ways I kind of agree with him after watching the video, is the flyover higher, straighten up the plane, and then just be very aggressive with the stick and just drop it right in. Because I was adding power in both of the landings, and in flying we always play the what if game. What if that we lose an engine here? What if we lose the engine there? And we'd be stuck in nowhere land, where if you're coming in, if you need some power, and if you didn't have it, and altitude can kind of be your friend. So in this case, I think I'm going to be landing, but you see it's kind of a rocky landing. It's not one of my better ones. But this would be a standard approach that we fly at 300 feet. I'm coming down, clear the phone lines. And again, that the wind is actually pushing me down. And it's going through the hangars. I'm kind of bouncing around. I'm kind of guarding that the wing come down. Okay. So the left tire hit first, then the right tire, and then I moved it over, and now I'm on the ground. Would have been better off a little bit higher, and then just drop it straight in. But no matter how much you fly, you always learn something.